The John, Anik, and KenFlorianPodcast. John, Anik, and Florian.
I fucking love them. I can't get enough of them.
Let's hear that Boston next.
Big jab there from Duffy, and Frank Mir is hurt now. Down goes Duffy, out cold. Frank Mir does it again. Rock'em sock'em robots here. Oh my goodness.
Hyperbole.
There are a couple of absolutely self-involved bullshit artists.
Here are your hosts, John, Anik, and Florian.
Great to have you with us once again. Monday, August 16th, 2021. It's episode 313 of the Anik and Florian podcast. So does the PFL have its own barber? Is that what's going on?
Dude, I looked like a homeless person who has been on the streets for a long time. My hair needed a cut. And now I look like a decent human being.
But
not to say homeless people aren't decent human beings. I'm just saying, I just look.
Of course. Well, you look amazing. You look amazing. And I'm sure once you got this haircut, you probably knew, having known me for 6 years, that I was going to lead the show with it. So those of you wanting your PFL recap, it's coming here in a second. By the way, shout out to Austin Vanderford getting a Bellator title shot. But do you guys have your own barber, or did they not like the way you looked when you showed up in South Florida? Like, what's going on?
I didn't like the way that I looked, so I decided to get my hair cut here in Charlotte. And
that was in Charlotte.
Stop looking like a scumbag. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank God I have misinformation because I was about to jump ship. I mean, because the thing is, I remember when we were at ESPN in Bristol, Connecticut, and I know you remember when MMA Live graduated from ESPN.com to ESPN2, we got makeup, right? We got to go upstairs and actually get our faces painted professionally instead of doing it ourselves. I think we still put our suits on in the toilet stall.
Right.
But I was thinking you had your own barber, and I suggested when we were at ESPN that my guy Neil there in Bristol, Connecticut, get hired as the ESPN barber, so we could get a skin fade on show day.
Yeah.
Now I got to do it myself, on show day. It is what it is. I hear Dean Thomas is a great barber. I think actually Matt Serra said that on these airwaves. But Daniel Cormier and I right now are doing our own hair. But you look great. Sorry we couldn't connect in South Florida. I wasn't going to bring my 3-year-old son to the Seminole there in the morning. Not out of COVID-19 fear, but it was just going to be a lot. But so how'd the weekend go? How was it down in South Florida?
It was good, man. We had a lot of great fights. We had one controversial fight on the main card, to get to the finals. Obviously, the semifinals are going on. It was all about lightweights and welterweights. My buddy Rory McDonald ran into a very tough Ray Cooper III, and he wasn't able to advance. But, that very tough Russian, Magomed Karamov from American Top Team ended up advancing. So it was a solid night. I think we're going to have a terrific final.
I want to talk about Ray Cooper III. I want to talk about Clay Collard. So you ran into Vitor Belfort, our old friend, huh?
Yes. He's looking like he's in great shape. He's looking younger somehow, and looking great, getting ready to box Oscar De La Hoya. So I wish him the best, man. I hope he goes out there and kicks some ass.
Were you guys reminiscing about 2013 in Jaraguá do Sul?
The
Vitor Tour in 2013?
Dude, he was handing out beatdowns, man.
Say what you want about his cleanliness in 2013, and people certainly will. But those 3 wins that year in Brazil, and you were on the call with me for at least 2, if not all 3 of them, right?
Yeah.
Over Luke Rockhold, Michael Bisping, and Dan Henderson. The year of Vitor Belfort in 2013, still to this day, 8 years later, I've never seen anything like it, right? I mean, that's the greatest fighter in MMA history right there, Vitor circa 2013.
There was no one scarier, man. He looked phenomenal everywhere. Just scary, man.
And I know Dana White is not the only one who hopes that he lands cleanly on Oscar De La Hoya when they meet. By the way, what are we, like 12, 13 days out from Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley? Jake Paul minus 147 or so, DraftKings Sportsbook. Tyron Woodley plus 132 if you care.
Okay.
If you give a shit, as Dana might say. You also ran into Faraz Sahabi, I would imagine, your old chief corner. Nice man right there. So
he's awesome, in Rory. Man. He's doing great.
So he was in Rory's corner. Rory's been cross-training at Sanford MMA. I believe he lives in South Florida now, Rory does, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Yeah. He was renting in South Florida. He was contemplating a move. Yeah. He was just kind of not liking the way things have been or were in Montreal and Canada. He said it's turned into a police state and he wasn't able to train. Faraz has told me that, police were showing up to his gym, trying to shut it down. They had to escape from the roof. I mean, it was crazy. So imagine trying to prepare for a fight. You're not even supposed to be at the gym.
Right.
And then at the same time, you don't have all your training partners from all over the world that you typically train with.
Right,
So things
right.
have been pretty tough for those guys over there.
Why did it take you so long to get a haircut? Does your wife want you to grow it out? Sorry, I'm
Dude,
just.
well, kind of. And
See, there's
also,
got to be something here.
I'm lazy too. I'll be honest. So like, and then I'm like in that point, I'm like, well, I have to get a haircut anyway. I'll just wait another couple weeks until like the week before I need to be on television. So if I don't need to be on TV, I'll look
Yeah.
like a scumbag.
No, they trimmed the beard up. Sorry, guys. If you're audio only, I know this is not great content, but I'm very distracted by the aesthetic today. It's almost like I'm just going to leave it there. So Faraz Sahabi was in the corner of Rory McDonald, as was Henry
Yes.
Hooft representing Sanford MMA. But it was Ray Cooper III by unanimous decision, 30-27 times 3. I haven't had a chance to watch this fighter a lot, just given my my kids and my UFC schedule. But seems to be a hell of a fighter, and here in 2021, seems to be better than Rory. What were your thoughts on that main event?
Yeah, listen, man, Rory's so technical. He's so experienced. Ray Cooper is just so hungry. He's so good. He reminds me of a vintage Johnny Hendricks in his prime, with maybe, two good hands, his left and his right. He has a serious amount of knockout power. He's an excellent wrestler. He's committed to the game. He continues to get better. He's so focused. And I truly believe he's a top 10 welterweight in the world. There's no question in my mind. He is very good everywhere. He can submit you. He can knock you out. He wants to hurt you. He's got that FU in every punch that he throws. And he's extremely dangerous and extremely focused, man.
And I know that's giving you pause in terms of your own comeback, just being that close, watching Ray Cooper live, how good he is,
Well, that's I'm telling you, here's the difference though. Like, honestly, to go back, if you're in it for any other reason than just, making a paycheck or trying to do anything other than like loving to fight, like that dude is hungry and wants to hurt the man in front of him. And that really makes a huge difference.
Clay Collard had a win over Showtime Pettis earlier this PFL season. I don't know if any of you follow Showtime Pettis on Instagram and saw his winning wager over the weekend. He had Raytheon Stotts plus 305, 5Gs at Green Valley Casino there in Las Vegas, 5Gs to pay $15K. Good on Showtime Pettis hitting the 3-1 dog there, his teammate. But Clay Collard on the wrong side of a unanimous decision here at PFL 8, 29-28 times 3, KenFlo. Haush Manfio was the winner here in the lightweight division.
Yes.
And obviously, when there's $1 million prize and the masses think one guy won, it's only going to sort of heighten the venom and the discourse about the decision. What were your thoughts on that fight, and to what extent was it a robbery of Clay Collard here in the tournament?
Yeah, listen, it was a great fight. And again, I hate to do these kind of things because in doing so, you kind of take away from the toughness, the determination, and the comeback in some ways from Haush Manfio, who gave it his all. He had a great performance himself, but he did lose that fight, in my opinion. I had the first 2 rounds for Clay Collard. I thought Haush won the 3rd round. And if you're looking at mixed martial arts and you typically look at these fights, you would score for Clay Collard pretty easily. I thought the first 2 were clearly Clay Collard outstriking Haush at the very end of the 2nd round, which was close. He ended up taking him down, beat him up with some punches, and almost submitted him 2 or 3 times with the rear naked choke. That was quite close. And the fact that they gave that 2nd round to Haush, I thought was just a big mistake. And what was so surprising was that it was 29-28 by all 3 judges across the board. And to me, it's just, it was terrible. Now, if I could give you a little bit of context to Clay Collard's story, here's a guy who comes from a large family of brothers. Prior to the PFL season, he had lost his youngest brother in a car accident. His youngest brother had been basically went on head on with a massive truck and died. He was supposed to come out and join Clay at some point to kind of start training in mixed martial arts and getting things more serious. And Clay took that call and had horrible news, learned from his brother that his youngest had died. And it was just tragic. And you think about, you're getting ready for the biggest year of your professional career as a mixed martial artist, and you get that kind of news. And obviously, with my story and my family, I could relate to that, having lost a youngest brother. And he had refocused his whole career over the last 3 years, really taking it seriously. He is very candid. He said, like, listen, I was screwing around. I was partying. I was doing things I wasn't supposed to do. Last 3 years, I've dedicated myself so much to this. And he goes out there, he beats Anthony Pettis, like dominates Anthony Pettis. He goes out there and beats Joelton Luderbach, who didn't even make weight. And then he goes out there and beats Haush Manfio and doesn't get the decision, man. And there's $1 million on the line. This is obviously something that could change his life. I had him. He went from a $15,000 underdog to start this, right? If you bet $100, you would win $15,000 if he would have win before any fight happened. Now he ended up becoming like a favorite heading into this semifinal. He loses in a bad decision. And, I mean, bad judging rears its ugly head again, man.
So Verdict MMA, the global scorecard all over Clay Collard in rounds 1 and 2. Oh, man. So his next fight would have been for $1 million. Do I have that right?
Yes.
Oh, man. I don't even know what to say about all that.
Yeah, it's tough,
that is
man.
massively disappointing. And if you're the other guy, it's got to be weird as well. Not unlike Aljo winning the belt a little bit, it's
Yeah,
but you move on, you fight for $1 million. So Kayla Harrison is fighting this weekend. Are you coming back to South Florida?
I am. I'm leaving in a couple days. I'll be there for a few days, dude. And and then I come back to Charlotte and then head back out to Vegas for BattleBots. So I got a crazy month.
Right, we're going to be ships passing in the night. I might see you this week in South Florida, but the August 27th PFL show you will miss. But we will be watching Kayla Harrison this weekend. Excuse me. I want to get to a couple of big fight odds coming up. Edson Barboza and Giga Chikadze are fighting next weekend. It's a pick'em fight right now, -110 on both sides. I mean, Giga wildly deserving, obviously, of the main event. I got to think Edson's had a main event before, right? But what a fight! Has Edson had a main event? He had.
I think so. Didn't he fight? Was it Kevin Lee in a main event?
That's
or
right.
No.
Yeah,
is that a main event
in Brasilia? That sounds about right. Right,
he might
before
have had another
COVID,
one.
maybe March 14th, 2020, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he could have had another one.
Yeah.
Certainly, when he fought Tony Ferguson, it felt like a main event, but I don't believe it was. Yes,
Right.
Barboza over Kevin Lee, round 5 TKO. Good on you. Oh, that was April 21st, 2018. Not right before COVID. That was like Maya Burns or something. Anyway, Barboza Chikadze is August 28th, KenFlo. That's a pick'em fight according to Las Vegas. Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler looks like November. Any idea who's favored there, KenFlo?
Dude, I would say I would be leaning towards Gaethje.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Dominic Cruz and others don't believe in ring rust. I don't know that inactivity has been factored into the price necessarily. Right now, Gaethje's -170. Michael Chandler is +150.
Okay.
In Ngannou, Gane has held steady since we talked about that last week. -115 for Francis, -105 for Cyril Gane. And then the last one I have for you today, excuse me, Alexander Volkanovski, Brian T. City Ortega, fastly approaching next month. Who do you have there? I don't need a pick. Who do you think's favored?
Favored? I would say maybe Ortega's favored.
Volkanovski -180, Brian Ortega +155.
Okay, that's who I would be leading to, but I figured
Yeah.
maybe the odds makers would like Ortega there.
And Cody says Barboza Lee was the day after 420. Of course, Anik doesn't remember. Right. Yeah, I mean, hey, man, I went on Remember the Show this week, and had it skewed more towards trivia, KenFlo, I would have lost. But I did beat Platinum Mike Perry to represent the Anik and Florian podcast.
There we go. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, had to go get a win. I'm curious who they're going to have you go against. I was thinking you should go against Faraz Sahabi. I thought that would be fun.
Oh, man. No, I need someone less smart. I need to look good. Come on.
All right, a couple questions from our listeners before we get to Ray Longo. This one from Justin Gibbons, #AskKenFlo. Do you think the amount of video games Max Holloway plays could be a new form of training in MMA for reaction time and strategy type thinking? Hey, man, he's asking you. So how do you feel about that?
Listen, I'm not really a gamer, so you're asking the worst possible person. So I would immediately say no. I think it's just Holloway's time in the gym, but I don't know. Maybe there's something to it. Little like hand-eye coordination and moving. I don't know. I suck at video games, so maybe that says something about me. Who knows?
All I know is that he's coming off the greatest singular performance in UFC history that is immortalized right behind me. So he's doing something right.
He is.
Next one from Bain MMA. What advice would you give young broadcasters, whether that be play-by-play or color or even analyst desk work? KenFlo, I mean, there's so much. Right now, we're sort of old, right? We're old men, so I guess we can give out advice. I mean, I have always said you got to be ready when your opportunities present themselves because when I showed up at ESPN Radio, I'm driving from Watertown, Mass to Bristol thinking it's like a job interview. The next thing you know, I'm doing the 4:20 p.m. Eastern update on national sports radio, and you either can hang or you can't. So,
Sure.
thankfully I was in the right frame of mind to get the job. But I don't know. I always say be ready for your opportunities. And when we started this podcast, there were probably 25 people listening, but we were doing it for the content, and we were really focused on. To this day, we're focused on the content, but it wasn't really so much about how many people were liking or listening what we were putting out, as long as we believed in the content.
Sure. I would say this, and for people who don't know that about John, and I'm kind of the same way, especially in regards to combat sports, is consumption. Like John consumes an insane amount of sports, and he's been watching sports forever. I'm not as big of a sports guy, but I watch a lot of combat sports, and I think that obviously helps. It is just like seeing how other people do it, seeing how you would do it, and getting that information and watching and almost practicing as you're watching, I think can go a long way. So getting those reps, consuming a lot, and bringing that passion every single day, I think is huge, man.
One thing I've worked hard on is trying to be sort of shorter of wind to try to get my why/how question out there as quickly as humanly possible. And it's an ongoing evolution, right? As a lot of people have said on the play-by-play side, we've never had a perfect show. Maybe there are guys out there that have, not me. All right, Longo in 60 seconds. But for a lot of professional athletes, fighters, podcast hosts, one of the biggest challenges out there is to build and monetize your own brand. I think for a lot of people to set up an e-commerce store or website with all the accompanying logistics, it's just a hassle. It doesn't make sense in their lives. That is where Millions comes in. This is truly a next-level e-commerce platform and a company I believe in to such an extent, as you know, that I signed up myself. I have my own page on Millions. And regardless of your walk of life, whether you're an amateur athlete, professional, public figure of any kind, perhaps you just have a podcast like this, the Millions.co platform allows you to build a merchandise line. You can have design help if you need it. You can start selling merchandise online right away. My One More Sleep t-shirts, hats, hoodies were on the page within hours once the final design was done and approved. You can also get paid for other things, simple shout outs or more longer form Ask Me Anything videos. We could even run our own Anik and Florian podcast live watch party right there on Millions.co. And it's all completely free to sign up. Free to sign up. My profile is live right now. KenFlo fans still asking about those I Finish Fights t-shirts. Hopefully he's on it. You can take that up with him at Kenny Florian. But if you are an MMA fan, and I know most of you listening and watching are, I would encourage you right now, go to Millions.co. They are also on Instagram. Check it out. Use the AMA shout-out feature or just pick up some merchandise. If your favorite fighter is not on there yet, tag them on Instagram and let them know. That's Millions.co. And, of course, we shout out the entire team at Millions. These people work hard, and we thank them all for sponsoring this week's episode of the Anik and Florian podcast. Costs a lot of money to sponsor the Ray Longo Minute. That's why it is not presented by, let's get to RPL.
It's now time for the Ray Longo Minute.
I want you to punch a hole in his fucking chest. That's what I want.
The Ray Longo Minute. Starring Ray Longo. The John, Anik, and Kenny Florian podcast.
Hey.
Yeah. What's this? What's this stuff I'm reading on my heel now?
So,
I don't want to be the heel.
We were soliciting. Well, I think most people, if they had to say somebody on this show was a heel, they would probably say that I have been the heel. But all of a sudden at episode 305, you just started getting after it. I don't know if you're putting, a little proper 12 Irish whiskey in your cold brew in the morning or what, but you started coming at me pretty good. And I like it, right? Like, I don't know. My whole life is brothers and going at each other. So I've been pleasantly surprised by the banter the last few weeks with your aggression.
I'm just looking for ratings, man. Can we
Right,
boot? Can
right.
we sign up with millions.com? Can we get some rating? Can we do anything?
Well, I think you should probably take your Ray Longo minute merchandise to millions.co. Cody's going to kill me. But why don't you just take all your merchandise over there? Then you get 80% instead of whatever cut we're giving you.
We like it. We like it at Anik and Florian podcast.
Anik really,
we like it.
Kenny really loves it.
I'm telling you, I've been swimming. I've been swimming in money like Scrooge McDuck. It's been great.
Can you put a couple of bonds away for your kids, please? Stop thinking about yourself.
So is that the same shirt you were wearing in the corner on Friday night?
That is, yeah.
Shirt. It is, isn't it?
Wow, you are really you're sick. You might be actually sick.
Is that the same shirt? It is, right?
It's the same shirt. I picked it right up off the floor as I was coming downstairs. And here I am.
Here's a shirt.
My stinky old shirt. But thank you for letting everybody know.
Well, because I see Matt Frivola in the corner of one of these athletes, and we'll get to Steve Lee, by the way, choking a dude out in amateur combat over the weekend. But I see Matt Frivola, KenFlo, wearing a Kimura Savage t-shirt representing Matt Serra, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know if this guy's got like comedy on one shoulder and tragedy on the other, or what the hell you're wearing, but like, would it kill you to wear an Anik and Florian podcast t-shirt in the octagon one of these days, or in the cage?
I mean, would it kill you to send me one? I don't think I have one.
Cody,
oh my God!
Does he not have any merchandise? Is that really where we're at? Because nothing would make us happier than to see you repping loud and proud on the big stage.
I'm repping. Next time I'm repping. That's all.
Come on, Ray. My kids need a trust fund. Please wear the shirt. Please,
I'm definitely repping.
Help me out.
It looks like 6 total shirts have been sent, 2 more last week, 4 in the previous shipment. So we'll have to get to the bottom of that, but we got other things that we need to get to today. So Steve Lee, longtime staple of Team Sarah Longo, and in your gym there in Garden City, New York, had an amateur fight several weeks ago, was on the wrong end of the scorecard, somewhat controversially. And as I understand it, he kept the judges out of the equation this weekend, forcing a tap with that KenFlo patented rear naked choke.
Let me tell you, beautiful jiu-jitsu. He jumped right back in there after that loss, which I think, it's not easy to do. And, man, he took it out of the hands of the judges. Great performance. Just a well-rounded kid. Got a good head on his shoulders, and I think everybody was just so happy for him.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I don't think I want to fight that dude anymore.
Oh, shoot. Were you supposed to fight him?
No. Just same weight class. We're both sort of budding amateur MMA fighters. No, I'm just kidding. Dog is out this week.
Because I tell you, he could use another W on his record. So, told him I'm pretty good.
Yeah, I tell him if you needed that. Well, at this point, right, he doesn't need me. He's choking out guys that actually train. So.
But if we did need a W, can we count on you to fill in?
Yes.
Okay,
yes, absolutely.
As a promoter, that's important. Oh man, this is great.
How about that rolling in the video?
Now we're starting. This is what I want to do. Now me and Kenny can break down some fights.
As he's choking him, the blood is coming out of this guy's face. Look at that.
Yeah.
Let's go, Steve Lee.
All over the place.
And there's that beautiful Kimura Savage t-shirt.
Wow. Well, yeah, I'm definitely I blew that.
So I have a few other things I want to get to with you. So Chris Weidman has undergone a second procedure on his leg. And Dr. David Abbasi, who is sort of an emerging force in this MMA space in terms of his MMA breakdowns, he spoke to the rarity of this type of procedure, having to get, the fibula like double bolted or whatever is going on there. He seems to be of a good spirit trying to document this stuff, starting his podcast and whatever else. But needless to say, pretty tough summer and tough last 4 months for Weidman.
Yeah, I mean, I texted late last night, but I'm gonna have to call him this week. I really haven't spoke to him. The last conversation, believe it or not, was I didn't think he was getting the surgery, and then the next day, I think he announced he was getting the surgery. So I think there were opinions on both sides not to do it. And I guess he chose to go with the opinion of get the surgery done. So I don't know. It
seemed to me, and I'm no doctor, that if he didn't want to fight, maybe he wouldn't have gone through with this. But obviously these are his means by which to get back in the octagon, and what an event it's going to be. But man, I just feel for him, especially when I see a doctor come on and say, man, they had to do that, trying to say that in the nicest terms he can, but man, they really had to go do that. It's like, damn,
Yeah, but I tell you, when he goes big.
Yeah.
That's it,
So I was letting DC know about Merab in this wrestling tournament. So basically, there's this wrestling invitational tournament that Aljamain Sterling and Merab Dwalish-Willie entered. What is it, at Rutgers University? Is that right?
Steve Lee and
Steve
Anthony
Lee.
Lemmy, yeah.
And
Who also fought the other night and came out on the wrong end of a decision, which, it was one of those, that's just another good point for the judges, Kenny. If you're holding me against the cage, let me start off with this. If you're holding me against the cage and nobody's doing anything, you're just holding me there, who's winning that if it goes on for like 45 seconds?
Right.
That's the problem. And sometimes when your back's to the cage, they automatically have you losing. But if we were clinched in the center of the octagon and nobody was doing anything, it's just a wash. It's a 50-50. So
right.
I think that was kind of the theme of the fight. So
anyway, so I brought up the Rutgers University tournament with Merab cutting weight actually to avoid Aljo and then winning the whole goddamn thing. But Aljo is back wrestling. I mean, is Aljo 10 weeks out from title defense #1? Is that what's happening in Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Are you going?
I should be going, yeah.
Yeah, what it should be. So no flight yet, but it's imminent, huh?
Oh, no, I have no flight yet. Sure.
So I did not think I was going, but I am going. I'm going to Abu Dhabi. So yeah, wouldn't miss it for the world. I don't know if it's going to be like Fight Island bells and whistles though. I don't know if we're staying at the W Hotel Yaz Island. And I don't know how restrictive it's going to be in terms of the quarantine, but
I think that's the issue now too with everything, because even with the Garden fight, the restrictions in New York, we don't have them on Long Island, but in New York, they're really not even letting you into the Garden to watch a fight with a vaccination card. So I'm unvaccinated, so that's going to be a problem. I'm going to have to go get vaccinated hopefully this week.
So you would get vaccinated in order to be at Madison Square Garden, is what you're saying?
I would, so we had a kid, Justin Montalvo, was supposed to fight in Bellator, right? I had to go up earlier to get tested, and then his guy didn't make weight. He missed weight by 6 pounds or 7 pounds, so they canceled the fight. And basically I blew 2 days. You know what I mean? If I was vaccinated, I would have went Thursday night or Friday morning, and again, so it's just become, to me, first of all, I want to be protected, and second of all, it's just an inconvenience, though. You can't, I don't want to go to places a week early if I don't have to, especially this time, because I'm busy.
Right. Well, I am going to come to Longo Weidman MMA because I think I'm going to go straight from Abu Dhabi to New York City. So I'm going to be in New York for an extra few days. So come out to Garden City. What's that?
If I fly, I'm flying out of JFK too.
All right. Maybe we'll fly together, All right. Good.
Well,
Wear your Anik and Florian podcast shirt to the airport. All right. I got a couple other things to throw your way.
You know what? Listen, look, I'm not opposed to a reminder.
Well, I'm wearing my Veracity Media Group t-shirt, and you notice when I wear these, Cody's always repurposing the photos of me and my VMG t-shirt. So that's the company. Hey, I want to get to this tweet here because I wanted to save it for when Ray was here. At Greg Duncan, Kenny, is it even possible to describe the nerves of fight week to a non-fighter? If so, how would you do it? Or is it so extreme that there's nothing a non-fighter can compare it to? Now, you've done high-profile television. I'd imagine you had high-profile soccer games at Boston College, but is there any point of comparison for walking to the octagon to fight somebody like BJ Penn?
There's zero. No, I mean, listen, I think it depends because it changed over the course of my career as well. Like early on, I was scared shitless. As I moved through my career, it was like, I feel pretty calm. So I think over time you get more used to it, right? I think in many ways, fear is the language of the inexperienced, and over time, you get more comfortable with it. No matter how crazy it is, it becomes kind of another day eventually. But I think as far as comparing it to competing in soccer, playing soccer, or a big game or whatever, yeah, it's totally different. It really is.
Hey, Ray, do you remember the most nervous you were, either as an athlete or coach in your boxing days, or do you remember when the nerves either got the better of you or when you really felt them and maybe were able to channel them in the right way?
Uh, Man, that's first of all, that's been years, and second of all, I mean, I could tell you as a coach, the first Weidman Anderson Silva fight. I think I told you the story. I mean, I was confident, but I definitely was really more nervous than normal because I get nervous for everything. So I get more worried. It's like the old saying: I get more worried when I'm not nervous. Some guys
Right.
I have total confidence in, so it's not. I really don't get nervous like that bad, but with Chris that time, it was such the magnitude of that fight was so big, and just the day before, I remember Danaher going, how you doing? I said, no, no, good. He goes, no, I know you're worried because if it goes south, it's going to go south like in the worst way, like it's a highlight reel. And I'm like, nah,
Right.
that's not what I'm thinking. But I mean, like, I think he made it worse. Like he
Right.
goes, but I understood. His point was that Anderson, he can make you look stupid, right? So if it does go south, it's not like you lose a war in a decision at that time.
Right.
So,
Right.
but that was just weird. You just got to keep focusing on what you did and believe in, and really believe in it. And you can only do what you could do, and you just have to be your best self on that given day. And that's what I try to focus on as a coach. And you know all the day growing up playing baseball and stuff like that, it was even if I was the last guy up, you never wanted to be that guy, but when you were that guy, you just luckily for me, and most of the times always worked out really good.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly had more nerves as an athlete than I've had as a broadcaster. Not that you're asking me. I remember getting super nervous before high school basketball games, and whenever it was my turn at bat as a baseball player, that was always super nerve wracking. But I do think like with all of our different skill sets and the things that are required of the three of us in broadcasting and otherwise, like when I go to MC a weigh-in in front of, 10,000 people, that's a sort of different skill set. And so maybe I'm like
Mm.
hoping my voice will not abandon me, halfway through when I'm trying to light up an arena. It's much different than just doing a telecast. So, all right. A couple other things, Ray, before we let you go, unless you
Yeah,
had
and,
something you wanted to add on.
yeah, and that stuff is always different for everybody. No matter what you do, you want to do it right. You don't want to, you want to like again, you want to be your best. That's why I did like dabbling in the acting because I was shitting in my pants when they came. Like it's
Right.
something new. So I do think everybody needs to do things like that just to keep them on edge because I think that means that you're alive. So
Harry Connick likes the lasagna, right? Was
there
that your
you
line?
go.
See, my voice just cracked there when I tried to go to that next level. All right, this weekend, Jared Cannonier, Kelvin Gastelum, live on the ESPN family of networks in the middleweight division, Ray. Who do you think is favored? And ultimately, who do you think wins the main event?
Uh, that's a good. I'm going to say Cannonier is the favorite.
Correct. You got a pretty good pulse as to
Yeah. Who wins that fight? Man, we're going back to I like Kelvin a lot, so
yeah.
I'm gonna go with Kelvin. But I think that's a really tough fight. I think back in the day it would have been a better fight for Kelvin. I think he's struggling a little bit now, but Cannonier, man, hits like a mule. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll go with Kelvin on that.
All right, we'll get KenFlo's prediction coming up shortly in the main event challenge. Of the tens of thousands of people, Ray, that listen to this show, do you think any of them would be driving around listening to this week's episode and thinking, Ray seems a little melancholy today, or no?
Uh, I don't know, but if they did, they'd be very intuitive.
All right.
Oh,
Is that what you're feeling?
Well, I mean, we appreciate you answering the call, but you know,
Oh man,
last week,
well,
if looks could kill, and this week you just seem a little bit subdued. I just
yeah,
that's my offhanded way of making sure everything's okay.
yeah. Everything's okay, but I don't like the heel comments. I'm trying to just be boring. I just want to be boring now.
No, I was just having fun with you, of course, because I love when I said to Cody about 6 months ago, like, dude, one of these guys needs to start coming at me, Like, because I like when people make fun of me. Every time my twin brother calls me, he's talking shit. Every time. He has nothing nice
You're
to
used
say.
to it.
Yeah. So
It's
I like that.
It's like a Sunday dinner at an Italian household.
exactly.
You just torture everybody.
Exactly.
Anybody near you is not getting out of there alive.
Yeah. I mean, like one time I decided to dress up as a clown for my daughter's birthday party because she wanted me to do it. And like my brothers have never let me hear the end of it. They think that I wanted to do it. And it was like my idea. All right, Ray. Anything else before we let you fly? Congratulate Steve Lee for us.
I think that's it. But
all right.
Well, I'll be better next week.
All right. Well, next week
we'll come out guns blazing again.
All right. Next week we'll look back at Cannonier Gastelum and we'll see what's going on in your life. We'll see if you have an itinerary for Abu Dhabi and go hit pads or whatever
and a fresh shirt. We need Ray with a fresh shirt.
Really, John, how bad is that?
Because I noticed Matt Frivola's T-shirt, and then I panned over a couple bodies. I panned over a couple bodies, and I saw Longo wearing the shirt. So I happened to notice your shirt, and then of course it's the exact same shirt that you're wearing right now.
We appreciate the honesty because Ray could have easily said, but I washed this.
Right,
it's fresh out of my closet. He's like, no, this is on the floor. I picked it right up, put it on.
Yeah. I picked it up with a collie stick. I didn't even want to touch it.
I don't know what that is.
One of those.
I don't even know what that stick you're talking about is. So, a martial arts weapon, is that what it is?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Great. Sorry. Fan base hates me again. Ray, have a great fucking week, bro.
I think.
You wearing a mask anywhere these days? Like, I mean, I take my daughters to an arcade yesterday that's at a bowling alley. Okay. And I try not to talk about COVID-19 here, KenFlo. We were the only 5 people in the entire bowling alley wearing masks.
Yeah.
And does that mean that we shouldn't have gone, right? Or like, who are we aligned with exactly? The people that don't go to bowling alleys when the numbers are going crazy? Like, we got mask shamed like crazy. I was like,
South Florida's like COVIDville, USA right now, though. That's the thing. It's like, I don't know. Cool. But Ray, are you wearing a mask right now or no?
Man, no, I'm not. I haven't been wearing a mask, but I mean, I did have it, so I do believe I have some sort of protection.
Right.
No?
You do.
I mean, but I am planning on getting the vaccination, I think, because I don't like the inconvenience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like KenFlo with his haircut,
Kenny, the haircut looks good. I got to get my haircut. I'm looking at this.
It was out of control. I was looking like Krusty the Clown. Yeah, I had to cut it.
Remember when Ray grew his hair out to his shoulders during COVID? That was a good idea, huh?
That was nice.
That was glorious.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
I can still smell it, so not that long ago. Right?
The shirt on my hair.
Hi, right.
Oh, boy.
Hey, so much love for you, and we appreciate you, and we'll talk to you next Monday. Okay.
Take it easy, guys. I'll see you.
Thanks, Ray.
New York's finest, Ray Longo, in an interesting mood today. His bank account's pretty fat. Speaking of which, your bank account really should work with you, not against you. Chime is an award-winning app and debit card with no hidden fees nor any monthly minimums. KenFlo's all over me, actually, for our monthly minimum fees that we pay. Well, not anymore because of Chime. You earn your money, many of you the hard way. You deserve to keep it. The Chime features in the app are both great, all sorts of benefits like fee-free overdraft on up to $200 in debit purchases. Get your paycheck, benefits, stimulus check, and tax return up to 2 days early with direct deposit. No monthly minimums. Over 60,000 ATMs at locations like Walgreens, 7-Eleven, CVS, and other spots I know you frequent. That's more than the top 3 national banks can say combined. And security-wise, you can instantly block your card on the app if something seems fishy. I'm telling you, Chime is changing the way I do my banking, and I would encourage you all at the very least to check it out and join the millions of others on Chime. Sign up takes 2 minutes and does not affect your credit score whatsoever. Apply now at chime.com/AnikFlorian. That's chime.com/AnikFlorian. One word, AnikFlorian. Chime.com/AnikFlorian. Chime is a financial technology company. Banking services provided by the Bancorp Bank or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Overdraft only applies to debit card purchases. Limits start at $20 and may be increased up to $200 by Chime. Early direct deposit depends on the payer. Out-of-network cash withdrawal fees apply. Third-party and cash deposit fees may apply. Go to chime.com/AnikFlorian for details. All right, let's make some picks. UFC Fight Night, Cannonier versus Gastelum in the main event challenge.
It's the main event challenge. Anik.
The time is most definitely now.
Florian.
I finish fights!
I'm going to do everything possible to win. The main event challenge. The John Anik and KenFlorian podcast.
All right, it is time to make some picks as we welcome in Ian Parker on social media at Ian Parker MMA. He also got an amazing haircut. Can you just take your hat off for a second and show the world how handsome you look with the new haircut? Just for a second. Beautiful, man. I mean, that's a great fade. If mine didn't grow so fast, I would actually find your barber in South Florida. You guys look fucking great today, you and Ken.
Actually, my neighbor, my barber had COVID. So my neighbor, he cuts his kid's hair, and 13 and like 11, and I noticed that we had the same haircut. So I was like, hey, can I, he sat in my driveway, and he sells perfume for a living. He's not a, but he gives kids good haircuts. So he gave me a good kid's haircut.
So in terms of the virus, I don't know if you just heard what I was saying, but I took my kids to Bolero in East Boca Raton. It used to be Strikes. Now it's the new bowling alley. I just want to check it out. We were the only ones in there with masks on. And I'm doing that because my kids aren't vaccinated largely. And I don't know. I mean, like my wife's best friend is vaccinated. Moderna, went from New York to Florida, went to Disney World. She's sick as a dog with COVID. Yep. So I don't know. Like, do you think I'm crazy going to a bowling alley, given where things are in South Florida? Not to put you on the spot, but like.
But you're putting me on the spot. You know what? Not to put you on the spot, but tell me what you think. Yeah, you know what? We don't go anywhere. Honestly, here's my whole thing, right? I'm not the one to preach to people how to live their lives. Do what you got to do. But when you have, obviously when you have kids, it's a little bit of a different story because they're not vaccinated. One of my good friends from New York just texted me that his 5-year-old has COVID, and they went to, I think, a Mets game the other day. So for me, if you're going to go somewhere, I wouldn't shame you if you wore the mask. I know there's a lot of people on here that don't believe. That's why I'm not like the most political. Just what we're dealing with in South Florida, the numbers are insane. I mean, dude, you're in Palm Beach County. The news just came out that there was like 4 teachers that died. I know. But and there was 400 cases on the first day that school opened up. For me, the whole thing is just really with the kids at this point. A year ago, it's funny. We are worse now than we were a year ago. Our state alone, Kenny, like literally. Aren't you happy you were here working a few days ago? I know.
Wow. Come on back, KenFlo. We'll see you Wednesday.
They put him in a glass case and they roll him down the street so no one could touch him. It's a weird situation right now. For me, it's just about the kids. So
I was freaking out off the top of the show because I thought PFL flew in a barber for you guys. I thought it was KenFlo in his hotel room getting a haircut. I'm like, this is unbelievable.
It was Keith Peterson. Kenny, Keith came up to Kenny and goes, Kenny, I don't like it. I don't like it. But that's pretty good, right? Yeah. Listen, when it comes to the PFL, man, they're very careful with everybody. I'll give them that. I don't think there's been one person that's been there that tested positive and bailed out or the fights were canceled at all the whole season. So I'll give them, that was,
See, it's interesting. Like I have the option to get tested when I show up on Thursday in Vegas this week, but because I'm vaccinated, I don't have to get tested. And it's sort of like if I'm asymptomatic and I have COVID and I test positive, I can't do my job and I have to drive from Vegas to South Florida. So,
so it's like a don't tell.
I'm not incentivized to go get tested, but I don't know.
That sounds very healthy.
UFC 265 results. Team Florian wins the week 6-2. KenFlo showing a little life. Still a 16-point deficit, 91-75, but still 15 UFC live events to go. And we come up on UFC Fight Night. Cannonier versus Gastelum. First fight for us, IP will lead with you in the flyweight division. Third ranked, Alexandre Pantoja, -165. Number 6, Brandon Royval, +145. IP, who do you have?
I like Pantoja here. His last fight showed the growth and, coming back off a bad loss. I think Royval is a very talented fighter. He's a little helter-skelter, a little crazy in the exchanges. I just think Pantoja is way better in the striking. He's just precise. He's more technical. And on the ground, he's fantastic. I don't think Royval, where he's put himself in compromising positions in other fights where he's been able to bounce back and get the sub or stand up. If you make a mistake with Pantoja on the ground, you're going to sleep. So I'm going to go with Pantoja here.
KenFlo Pantoja coming off a decision win over Manel Kopp back in February. He hasn't fought for the belt, so if he strings together a win here, maybe one more, perhaps he would be the guy. On the other side, Brandon Royval, as many of you know, underwent arm surgery after the injury sustained in the fight with now champion Brandon Moreno. That was last November. What do you think about Royval in the return here as an underdog against Pantoja?
Yeah, listen, I think Ian did a good job of breaking it down. I'm a fan of Royval. I think that he has a lot of very interesting skills. He's aggressive. He's a finisher. He loves to scrap. And he's got a shot here. I just think he's about a year away from fighting and beating a guy like Pantoja. So I would have liked to see him have more experience, and again, coming off that surgery, I don't love that. Pantoja for me is just a little bit more consistent and makes less mistakes. So I like Pantoja here as well.
All right, next up, fellas, at lightweight, pick'em fight, at least according to the odds right now at DraftKings Sportsbook. Vince from Hell Pichel, -110. Austin Thud Hubbard, -110 as well. Pichel, 6-2 in the UFC, but he has more years on the roster than he does UFC fights because of just myriad injuries. And remarkably, he's trying to make it 7 wins in his last 8. People don't think of Vince Pichel sort of in that ilk, right? But trying to go to 7-1 over his last 8 here against Austin Hubbard. KenFlo, Austin Hubbard also on a winning streak and a really good fighter in his own right. What do you think about this one at 155?
These are two guys that are aggressive, that are good grapplers. To me, I feel like it's going to come down to who can land more takedowns or who can be more effective with their wrestling. And unfortunately, I don't have the best answer who that's going to be. I'm leaning more towards Vince Pichel. I think that he has a little bit more high-level experience. He's fought tougher guys. It's not a confident pick, but I'm going with Vince Pichel. I think he's going to find a way to edge it out. But either way, it should be a fantastic fight between two guys who are aggressive, who both can get it done on the feet and on the ground. But I like Vince here.
Vince is a really good dude. I met him filming The Ultimate Fighter live back in 2012. It's crazy to think it was almost 10 years ago. But only loss for Pichel, Ian, dating to his UFC debut against Rustam Khabilov, was by submission to Gregor Gillespie. Otherwise, he has handled a lot of these challenges. He's been in an underdog role for many of them. Pick him here against Austin Hubbard. How do you see it playing out?
I think Kenny made a good point, and the funny part about this is I don't think either guy is going to use their wrestling with this. And if wrestling is canceled out, I think Pichel is the better striker. I think he also carries way more power. And I think he's also fought stronger guys than Hubbard has. Hubbard is definitely, I want to say, succeeded past certain expectations in the first couple of fights. I think it was 1 or 2 fights ago. Everyone had him as a huge underdog, and he won. He came back in one of those fights. I think Pichel just might be a little too much to handle, especially against the cage also. He throws some heavy bombs. He knows how to really control the position. So I'm going to go with Pichel as well.
See, Pichel as well. I like that from Hell Pichel as well. See, Kenny must think his hair looks good, right? Now that I think about it, because he wore his Anik and Florian dad cap the last 4 episodes. You don't wear a hat. Like Ian and I wear a hat every episode, regardless of whether we got our hair cut. I shave mine, Right, exactly. But obviously, you're not wearing a hat.
I had to cover up that horrible mop I had. I mean, it's just like, look.
And now showing the world how, I'm telling you, man.
My daughter likes when I style my hair. She always said, Daddy, styling your hair. Your hair.
Yeah. I'm chasing my son around with the buzzer. He's like already traumatized at 3 years old, All right, heavyweight fight here. Chase Sherman, -180. Parker Porter, +155. Sherman making the 3rd start of this 2nd UFC stint against the product of WEHA, West Hartford, Connecticut, not far from ESPN headquarters there in Bristol, Connecticut. Porter coming off a win over Josh Parisian last November. Ian Parker, Chase Sherman, Parker Porter. Who do you like?
There will be no ground game involved until someone falls asleep, until one of those big old bodies hits the floor and you see a lot of ground shaking. As much as I would love to pick Parker Porter because I love that name and I love the way he fights, Chase Sherman's just such a really solid technical boxer for me. I think also the way he gets inside and he hits to the body, and there's a lot of body to hit on Parker Porter. There's a lot to hit there. And, he's going to have the range. He also has a great jab. I think Porter is just, he relies a lot on his toughness and on his counter striking, but he doesn't throw a lot. And Sherman has a lot of volume with his strikes. So I'm going to go with Chase Sherman here.
Nicely done there, KenFlo. I guess we need a pick from you. Chase Sherman, Parker Porter. Sherman about a 2-1 favorite.
Yeah, listen, I think it's going to come down to who the better striker is, who the more technical striker is. And if you're looking at that fight, I think the clear answer is Chase Sherman. I think not only is he more technical, I think he probably carries more power in his punches as well. So Sherman just has more firepower. I think that's what this fight is going to come down to. Chase wins this fight.
All right, co-main event at 155 pounds. Mark O. Madsen minus 160. Clay Guida plus 140. We'll need the round, the method of victory. So, Ian, a little background real quick. I know you know this stuff, but Madsen, 10-0 as a pro. He's 2-0 in the UFC, Olympic silver medal in Greco-Roman wrestling in 2016 in Rio de Janeiro. He's 36 years old. Clay Guida on the other side turns 40 in December. This will be his 54th pro fight, 31st in the octagon. He beat Michael Johnson on points back in February to halt a 2-fight skid. Co-main event goes which way, IP?
You know, I'd love to see Guida get a win here. I feel like he just deserves to, this ride, beating Michael Johnson. No one thought he was going to do that, but Michael Johnson pulled a Michael Johnson. Man, I think Madsen's wrestling is just might be the one of the few people that Guida won't be able to out wrestle here and out, hustle against the cage. My only concern for Madsen is he's never fought a guy with a gas tank like Guida. He just, literally doesn't slow down, doesn't stop. Madsen's striking is not necessarily there yet either. This may be the first fight where Guida has better technical striking than somebody. And I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's true. It's very hard for me to go against someone with this type of level of experience in Greco-Roman, where Guida, against the cage, when he does get taken down, usually it's from underhooks and sometimes towards the hips. So I'm going to go with Madsen here. I'm not overly confident in this pick, but if he gets it done, it will be by decision.
All right, so there's going to come a point in time in the history of this podcast, if it continues, where we're not going to be able to say, oh, this dude fought Kenny Florian, right? Like, because Jose Aldo eventually is going to retire. But Clay Guida fought Kenny Florian.
He didn't fight Parker Porter.
Right,
No,
yeah.
he did not.
So Kenny fought Clay Guida, if you don't know, if you're one of our younger fans who wasn't watching, in December of 2009. Kenny fought Clay Guida at UFC 107. Basically brutalized the man, right? Effectively changed his face forever with his strikes and then choked him almost unconscious, right? Sorry. Oh, it's right behind him. See, he just put his head down. It's actually, there's a picture of Kenny choking out Clay right behind him.
How convenient.
Kenny, what do you think about Guida here? Plus 140 against. We love Clay. He can take it.
Man, it's crazy. Well, that's the thing, man. It's wild. Clay is such a stud in that he continues to fight and fight tough guys. That fight behind me, that happened in 2009. He was fighting several years before that. He's been fighting forever, and he's been pretty damn busy as a fighter as well. So it's amazing what he has done. But I do think Clay is at his best when he's able to out-wrestle his opponents, as Ian said. And I do think he could surprise Mark on the feet. I think his unorthodox style could throw off a lot of people. There's no rhythm to what he does. And if you're not experienced, and if you decided to strike with him, you'll be in trouble. But Mark Madsen is going to do what he does best, and that's get to a clinch and throw people on their heads. And I think that he will have a huge wrestling advantage over Clay, who does come from a wrestling background. But not all wrestling backgrounds are created equal. This is a silver medalist in the Olympics. And there's just not a whole lot of those out there. So I like Madsen here as well. Can't go the other way. I think Madsen gets it done here.
That should be that should be KenFlo's new merch. Not all wrestling created equal. I like that.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, let's go with second round TK.
How about that? Marco Madsen to get Clay Guida out of there
via head dump.
And by the way, I know people think I'm a KenFlo apologist. Like if Guida and KenFlo fought right now in 2021, I favor Clay. So, and there you have it. If Clay's listening, it's like, I think you beat KenFlo right now. I mean, Kenny retired 10 years ago, but all right, main event. Ian's just looking at me like you used to be funny. All right, number 3 versus number 9 in the UFC's middleweight division.
Can't win them all, bro.
Jared Cannonier minus 150, Kelvin Gastelum plus 130. So Cannonier back for the first time since a brutal loss, physically and otherwise, to Robert Whittaker last October at UFC 254. So just the second fight in the last 23 months for Jared Cannonier. Gastelum on the other side, still on a mission for UFC gold, but he also came up short against Bob Whittaker in what was a 5-round main event April 17th of this year. And that was a short notice, quick turn for Gastelum. He had the win over Ian Heinisch 2 months prior. And once again, KG stepping up here, once again stepping in for Paulo Costa, and draws Cannonier. KenFlo trailing. You will lead us on the main event. Cannonier the favorite, Gastelum the dog. Who wins, and how do they get it done?
Yeah, but both guys coming off of losses to Robert Whitaker, I think, right? And yeah, just unbelievable. For both these guys, this is a really interesting fight. I think for Gastelum, he is trying to stay relevant, more than relevant in this division here, and he's facing a guy in Cannonier who is extremely dangerous. I think the question here is, it's pretty simple. Can Cannonier keep it on the feet? Can he stop the takedown attempts from Kelvin Gastelum? I think Kelvin is still going to be very tough. I think he's tough to take out. But if there's one guy who can maybe get him out of there with a shot, it's Cannonier. He has a tremendous amount of power. He looks phenomenal at 185 pounds. And I think that Kelvin has a tendency of, when he strikes, of just trading. It's one thing to be a technical striker like Israel Adesanya, to get in and get out and be slick and get in and not eat shots. But Kelvin will land shots, but when he does get hit. And that's what concerns me here. So it should be a direct path for him to try to take him down and control him and look for a submission. I think Kelvin can certainly do that. But it concerns me that he likes to trade. And because of that, I'm going to go with Cannonier. I think that he gets it done. Let's go with a third round TKO for Cannonier.
And that would mean I would make my red eye. Ian Parker, how do you see the main event playing out?
I just want to address the Kenny Florian versus Clay Guida rematch. John, at what weight are we talking here? Because Kenny's not going 55 or 45 these days. I think if this fight was hold on, to be fair, Kenny started off in the UFC at middleweight, even though he probably should have fought at 45 during Ultimate Fighter Season 1. So if Guida's willing to go up to, let's be generous here to Kenny at the moment, 85, because he looked 45.
I was tipping the scales at 200 this year, by the way. So I am 185 now. So
he is beefy Kenny Florian against 55 Guida. Look at that.
Let's go.
I mean,
he could have stepped in this week on the undercard for PFL. I swear to God, he could have.
Can make 70. So if Guida wanted to fight at 70, but I guess that's
Anik and Florian could host a celebrity boxing thing, and
down the line. Hey, what do you think about Kelvin Gastelum's chances here? Obviously, this is
I don't like him.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. Finish your thing. You're better.
No, it's just he's obviously taking advantage to whatever degree of these openings, right? And part of the reason why he is stepping in, even if his head coach or his manager doesn't think it's the most winnable fight on the most perfect date, is because he has lost a lot of these high-profile fights against the elite of the division, and so he can win a lot of that back sometimes if he steps up into a main event as underdog, as he's doing here.
I understand the concept behind it, but sometimes it's also better to not rush to failure, because look, if he does lose this fight, number one, we don't know. We hope he comes out without an injury, because these things happen even to the winners, right? And that could put him back for some time. He's coming off, I don't like this fight for him stylistically, and sometimes I understand you want to skip the line so you can get closer to hoping that they forget about losses. And it comes to a point, especially what it seems like with this company, that taking fights on short notice anymore no longer really clears you as a company man. They look at the fight as, hey, you took it, so it's on you, win or lose. And that's no disrespect to either side. I think for Kelvin, years ago, where the wrestling came first, striking was used to set that up. Different fighter here, to Kenny's point. His head stays still and he trades in the pocket, hoping to land, and he likes to show his toughness that he could take a shot. Against Cannonier, I don't think many people really can eat a clean shot from him, especially at 185. This is a guy that possesses heavyweight power at 85. It's a scary thought, and he is not an easy guy to take down. And if he gets on top of you, he's very good at controlling the guard. He could pass and get to half, and even there, he just throws bombs. I think Kelvin's in trouble here. I really don't think he gets Cannonier down unless he clips him with an overhand left. So I'm going to go Jared Cannonier. Kenny picked third round TKO, so I'm not going to be a dick and tail him and do the same thing. I'll go second round because I honestly think this. I think he catches Kelvin on the way in, and Kelvin tries to reach for like a single hurt, and that's when Cannonier just starts firing him off. And man, I hate to see that happen to Kelvin. I like him. I've been a fan of his for a while. I just think that had to have been just a little bit more patience and a better fight to get there.
Right.
You know,
right.
That division, it seems like there's a lot of injuries and it doesn't take a lot of time to get back to the top in that division. You know, I mean, and he's really not, and like, for example, say he took a different fight and then wins and fights a guy like a Derek Brunson. For me, that's a much more winnable fight for Kelvin than Jared Cannonier based on style, you know, but look, he's jumping on an opportunity, hoping for the best. And if he pulls it off, then to your point, John, he's back. Yes. I don't know.
Well, he takes Jared Cannonier's number 3 in the world ranking, and all of a sudden he is championship relevant again, I suppose. All right, on social media, if you want more from the Duck, he is at Ian Parker MMA. And candidly, if you're betting mixed martial arts every weekend and you're not following this guy, I don't know what you're doing. Like, if I was contractually not prevented from betting on MMA, I would be tailing this guy's straight wagers on a week-to-week basis. So keep doing what you're doing, and thanks for still fitting us in as you get big time.
Fitting you in. Oh, come on, man. Wow.
What?
Fitting you in.
Everybody thinks I'm a fucking heel. Everybody thinks I'm out to get them except Ken.
No.
You know?
You're not. Listen. I'm on here before. I see what goes on with Ray, and I see that what goes on with me. This is what happens, right? Ray pulls like Italian grandfather on you, bends you over with a belt. Then you turn around and pick on little brother and me because you take it out on me, right? Yeah. Then you get off the phone and Jason calls. He's like, "Yo, stop getting addicted." See, Kenny's laughing because he knows I'm 100% correct here. I know you like want us to be a dick to you, but like we can't. It's your show. You're nice. And when anyone says anything to you, you get a little upset. You get a little upset pretty quickly. You know, I mean, you get upset, and I'm not in a position to upset you. I'm not Ray.
I don't want that smoke. John, I don't want that smoke.
I'm back into whatever hole he came out of today. All right.
Hey, I think I've set myself up to get bashed by a lot of people, right? I'm going to get bashed by the Militich folks for wearing a mask at a bowling alley. I'm going to get bashed by my twin brother for going to the bowling alley. So it's going to come at me from all sides. But hey, much love to you, and I'll try to be less sensitive, I guess. I got a lot of things to work on. So
we all do, John. We live in a crazy world, you know. Things just we can't almost be smiling ear to ear like Kenny. This is Kenny's sitting there just laughing the whole time. Yeah. He's loving this. By the way, is Ray okay? He looked like he hasn't moved from that spot since last week's episode.
Dude, he was. I could tell, man, he was not thrilled. Hopefully, it's nothing terrible. I'm sure he'll call. He usually calls me afterwards. He's like, "Everything okay today? I hope you weren't upset with me." You know. Hey. Good to see you. We'll talk to you next Monday.
You got it.
All right, Ian Parker with us for the main event challenge. I do want to get to a pronunciation of the week on the way out. We have 3 lightweight fights this weekend. And our next fighter, the Chilean, as we call on our executive producer, Cody Mero, will be fighting Roosevelt Roberts. Cody, it's nice to see you.
Hola.
So this Chilean fighter came off of Dana White's Contender Series, the only episode of the Contender Series that I ever called. And this guy earned a UFC contract on it. He fights Rosie Roberts this weekend. Cody, of whom am I speaking?
Oh, it's La Jaula, right?
La Jaula is the
cage?
Nickname. The Cage.
The Cage. I'm working on my Portuguese lately. That's not Portuguese, but I'm working on it. So, Ignacio Bahamondes.
All right, let's hear him say it. If you could play the whole file, that would be great.
See, John's reactions, I try and gauge how he reacts to me saying it to the file come out. Sometimes he's like, "Ooh, let's get to the file." So sorry to bleed out the section, but I'm probably wrong based on his assessment. Here we go.
Ignacio La Jaula Bahamondes. Ignacio La Jaula Bahamondes.
I mean, man, does the dude slow it down for you.
The H is silent.
Correct.
See, I said it more of like a Spanish way, though. You know, so that's what I get. You know,
you injected the H, and that is where you faltered.
Too much Russian. I'm trying to say it like they would say it, and the Russians, you have to really. That's what I get, fellas.
No, I've gotten a bad habit. I think I told you I voiced Rafael Fiziev as Rafael Fiziev, realized it on my own and had to retrack it because I'm in this habit where every time I see Rafael, it's an H, you know? But yeah, that's a loss. Casey, our intern, Casey Williams, thank you very much. You can chalk that up as a loss. But yeah, the Chileans are pretty sensitive about this. And again, it's like I listened to the file before doing the Contender Series episode, and it says Bahamondes. So I call the fight with Michael Bisping. We don't say Bahamondes, right? We call it the right way. And there's still people on the internet that are like, dude, the H is silent. And it's like, guy, like selective listening. Like we did it the way we were supposed to. So I just thought that was a good file to play for the audience. And it's a silent H.
Well, so shout out to the Red Sox fans out there. I always say Rafael Devers is Rafael Devers, and I know he's Dominican. So it's like, I know that that's wrong, but that's how I say his name because I watch too much MMA. So that's what you get.
Yeah.
Rafael Devers. Minus 330. Red Sox win the AL East.
There you go.
There's your play for everybody who wants to fade my NFL. Yeah. No, plus 330. Plus 330. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
the Rays are minus.
Yeah. Right.
The Yankees are not. Yankees suck. I'm sorry.
Tampa Bay Rays going to win the American League East. All right, we got to get on out of here. AnikFlorianPodcast.com is live. It will direct you to our merchandise page if you are so inclined. You can also get my One More Sleep merch at millions.co, promo code Anik, ANIK. KenFlo's YouTube channel is live. It is also linked to the YouTube channel you are watching right now. Don't forget, remember the show, Bilal Muhammad and Jason Anik coming at you this Thursday night. And, of course, a new PFL broadcast with KenFlo coming up this weekend. And I'll be on the sticks with at least Daniel Cormier, I believe, for Saturday, UFC Fight Night, Cannonier versus Gastelum. We'll see you on ESPN Plus, maybe ESPN2 as well. Looks like prelims on ESPN2 and the main card on ESPN. Thank you to our guests, Ray Longo, Ian Parker, our producer, Cody Merrow. For KenFlo, I'm John Anik. Thank you all for watching. Really appreciate the support of the program. Thank you all so much. Tell your friends. We'll talk to you next Monday. Until then, yo, fucking